I am Emily Carter, 32, a third-grade teacher living in Portland, Oregon. And this Thanksgiving, my mom handed my sister our family's lake house like it was a damn scented candle. It happened in the kitchen, of all places. The same cramped kitchen where I learned to make boxed brownies and burn grilled cheese. The oven was humming, my mom was basting a 17-pound turkey, and the smell of rosemary and butter coated the air like it was trying to keep us all calm. I was slicing carrots. Lily, my younger sister, breezed in wearing Lululemon leggings and UGG boots, holding a green juice and no trace of actual effort. She kissed Mom on the cheek, then flopped down on the bar stool like she hadn't just shown up 45 minutes late. Then Mom said it. Just said it. "Oh, I meant to tell you earlier. Lily's taking over the lake house. It's hers now. She's turning it into a wellness retreat." I paused mid-slice. "What?" Lily giggled. "It's gonna be amazing. Crystal therapy, weekend detox, hot stone massage nights. Totally healing." "Wait." I turned to Mom. "You gave her the house?" Mom didn't even flinch. She was still spooning pan drippings onto the bird. "She's the only one who uses it, sweetie. And you've been so busy. Teaching, grading your life." "My life." I set the knife down. "Mom, I grew up in that house. I helped Dad build a fire pit. I painted the upstairs bedroom." "I know, honey," she said, too quickly. "But Lily has vision. She's going to turn it into something special. So, I don't get a say? It's just hers now." Lily sipped her juice. "You haven't gone up there in, like, 2 years. "I couldn't, Lily. I was working. I have a job. I don't get to just float around filming sunrise yoga on Instagram." Mom gave me that look, the tight-lipped one that always meant don't embarrass us in front of company, except there was no company this time, just her favorite daughter and her second glass of Chardonnay. "You're overreacting," she said, her voice clipped. No, I wasn't. I knew I wasn't. But still, I felt myself shrinking. The lake house was all we had left of Dad. He died 3 years ago. Heart attack in the middle of a Costco run. It was sudden and brutal, and left us all gutted. The lake house had been his escape, his sanctuary. Giving it to Lily felt like erasing him. Erasing me. I picked up my wine glass, cheap stemless kind from Target, and realized my hand was shaking. I set it down harder than I meant to. It cracked. "I need air," I muttered, grabbing my coat. "Emily." Mom called, but I was already at the door. Lily said something as I left. Something like, "God, she's so dramatic," but I didn't stick around to confirm it. Outside, the sky was iron gray. Cold drizzle hit my cheeks as I stood on the porch, trying to breathe. I pulled out my phone, opened the voice memo app. I hadn't used it since a professional development workshop last spring. I hit record. They gave Lily the lake house. Just like that. No conversation. No heads up. Like I don't even exist. I stopped, saved it, and named it just in case. It wasn't much. Just a few seconds of words no one would ever hear. But it felt like something. Like proof. Like I wasn't crazy. Because if no one else was going to remember what was fair, I would. And I didn't know it yet, but that small act, whispering into the cold air, with rain soaking through my boots and mascara smudging under my eyes, was the first step in a war I didn't even know I was about to fight. A war I'd be forced to win. Alone. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, the hum of my space heater fighting the early winter chill seeping through my apartment's drafty windows. Jonah, my cat, curled beside me, purring like he could fix what had cracked open in my chest. By morning, everything felt dull. My fluffy was bitter. My socks were mismatched. I pulled my hair into a ponytail and didn't bother with makeup. What was the point? I drove to work in silence. No music. No podcast. Just the sound of windshield wipers and my brain playing the night before on loop. My classroom smelled like crayons and stale animal crackers. The kids were already buzzing, showing off drawings of turkeys and talking about how much pie they ate. I smiled when I had to. I passed out worksheets. I didn't say a word about the lake house, about my mom, or how I'd been edited out of the family script like a bad draft. At lunch, I sat in the teacher's lounge. The microwave beeped over and over. Someone left tuna in the fridge again. Zara, the school counselor, plopped down beside me, peeling a clementine. "You good?" she asked, glancing sideways. "You look like you lost a fight with your pillow." I gave a hollow laugh. "Something like that." She waited, didn't press. Zara never pressed. "My mom gave the lake house to my sister," I finally said. "Didn't tell me. Just handed it over like a free sample at Costco." Zara froze mid-peel. "Wait. That lake house?" I nodded. "It's hers now. Lily's turning it into a spa retreat." Zara blinked. "And you found out?" "Over carrots." She just said it. Like it was normal. Zara leaned back in her chair. "Jesus. What did you do?" I walked out. Then I started recording voice memos. I don't know why, it felt like the only thing I could do. Like I needed proof that I wasn't imagining the betrayal. She tilted her head. "That's not nothing. That's your voice. Your version. That matters." I stared at my Tupperware of cold pasta. "Does it?" "Mom says I'm being dramatic. Lily thinks I'm jealous." "Are you?" I looked up. "Not of her," I said. "Of what she gets away with. Of how Mom bends the rules for her. And only her." Zara peeled another slice. "Record everything. Emails, texts, memories. Keep your receipts. You don't have to act yet, but you should be ready." That stuck with me. Be ready. After school, I didn't go home. I drove, past my apartment, past a grocery store, and found myself outside Mom's house again. The porch light was on. Through the window, I saw Lily in leggings, barefoot, laughing with her phone in one hand and a kombucha in the other. Mom stood beside her, stirring something on the stove. I didn't go in. I sat in the car for 20 minutes, engine off, watching them through the glass like they were actors in a show I'd been written out of. Then I pulled out my phone. Hit record. They looked so happy. Like I never existed. Like none of it mattered. I think what hurts most is how easy it is for them. I saved it. Porch freeze. I went home. Ordered Thai food I barely touched. Sat on the couch and scrolled back years in my texts with Mom. In 2016, she sent me pictures of the dock repairs. In 2018, she asked if I could help pay for the new roof. In 2020, she thanked me for driving out to fix the busted water heater. All of it help, labor, money, and now poof. Gone. Given away. I created a folder on my phone. Named it Proof of Worth. I moved all the recordings there. Screenshots. Emails. Pictures. If they weren't going to remember, I would. I went to bed with one last recording. They rewrote history. But I kept the original draft. Click. Saved. Tomorrow, I'd start digging deeper. 3 days after the carrot incident, I walked straight into an ambush. Mom texted that morning. "Dinner at 6. Just us girls, 2 hearts." I should have known. Should have smelled the setup under the heart emoji. But I was tired. Tired of fighting. Tired of feeling invisible. Tired of eating microwaved leftovers alone. So I showed up. The dining room was already set when I arrived. Mom had outdone herself. Gold-rimmed plates, linen napkins tied with twine, flickering candles like a Pinterest board come to life. There was even a pot of mulled wine steaming on the stove. She only did that for guests. "Emily," she called from the kitchen. "Come sit. Lily's just changing." I hung my coat and sat down, fingers brushing the edge of the wine glass. A tiny gold charm sat in the middle of each plate, little keys on a ribbon. "Weird." "Mom," I said cautiously, "what's with the keys?" "Oh, you'll see." Lily walked in wearing a white cashmere sweater dress and the kind of boots that screamed, not for mud or meaning. She beamed. "Ready." Mom raised her glass. "I'd like to make a toast." I froze. "To Lily," she said, voice trembling just enough to seem heartfelt. "For having the vision to transform our family's history into something beautiful. The lake house is in the right hands." I blinked. Lily held up a key and twirled it between her fingers. "We're calling it Stillwater Retreat. Grand opening in spring." I didn't say anything. My fork clinked against the plate. Mom turned to me. "Don't you want to congratulate her?" My voice was a whisper. You made this about her. Again. Mom's smile faltered. Emily, please. No, I said louder now. You made a speech about giving away Dad's house. Our house. And I found out with a party favor. It's just property, Lily said. It's not like she sold your kidney. I stood up. The chair scraped across the floor. Don't talk to me like I'm overreacting. Mom reached for my arm. Sit down. Let's be civil. I am being civil, I said, pulling away. I'm not flipping the table. I'm not throwing a fit. But I won't sit here and pretend this isn't a slap in the face. Lily muttered, this is exactly why she didn't tell you earlier. I turned on her. You knew I'd be angry because it wasn't fair. You're not naive, Lily. You're manipulative. She recoiled, eyes narrowing. Mom said sharply, that's enough. I laughed, hollow and bitter. Of course it is. When I speak, it's always too much. Too loud. Too emotional. But when Lily gets keys and retreats and applause, that's just ambition. No one answered. I picked up one of the tiny gold keys and held it in my palm. Congrats, I said, voice shaking. You get the house. And the story. But not my silence. Then I dropped the key onto my plate with a hard clink and walked out. Outside, the air was cold and sharp. I sat in my car, breathing through my teeth. My face was hot. My hands were numb. I didn't cry. I pulled out my phone. Hit record. They toasted her with my inheritance. Gave her keys with my memories attached. I wish I could forget how small I felt at that table, but I won't. I refuse. I named the file keyed out. Then I backed it up. Twice. I knew now that I wasn't going to get justice by asking nicely. I'd have to dig for it. Build it. Prove it. They thought I was just emotional. They didn't know I was archiving. The next morning, I woke up with a new clarity. A cold, sharp kind. I wasn't going to yell anymore. I wasn't going to beg. I was going to document. I spent most of Sunday in sweatpants, hunched over my laptop at the kitchen table, drinking stale coffee and scrolling through my inbox. Years of receipts, emails, family threads about maintenance on the lake house, all sitting there, just waiting to be unearthed. 2017. Emily, can you pick up paint for the guest room? 2018. Water heaters acting up again. Can you and Dad check it next weekend? 2020. Need help with the taxes for the house. Can you come over Thursday? It was all there. My time, my money, my effort. I wasn't just some distant daughter who didn't care. I built part of that house. I knew where the boards creaked. I knew which stairs whined when you stepped on them in the dark. That afternoon, I called Mom. She answered on speaker. I could hear Lily laughing in the background. Emily, she said warily, please don't start again. I have a simple question, I said calm. Did you legally transfer the lake house deed to Lily? A pause. Then, yes. When? Last month. You didn't think I deserved to know? I didn't want drama, she snapped. You always make things harder than they have to be. I gripped the edge of my table. You made it harder by cutting me out and then acting like it's normal. Emily, she said, her voice tightening, you've always been so serious. So intense. Lily's the free spirit. She needed this. I almost laughed. So being irresponsible is now a virtue? That's not what I said. No, but it's what you meant. She hung up. I stared at my phone until the screen dimmed. My hands were trembling again. I opened the voice memo app. She said Lily needed it. Like I never did. Like grief doesn't count unless it wears yoga pants and hashtags. Saved it. Needed more. Then I opened our old family group chat. Me, Mom, Lily, Uncle Rick, Aunt Brenda. Typed. Was anyone else aware the lake house was transferred to Lily? No replies. Just silent read receipts. 2 hours later, Lily posted a reel, her twirling on the dock in a white linen dress, wind in her hair. Caption. Where energy flows, abundance grows. I threw my phone across the bed. Then I drove to Mom's house. I don't know what I was expecting. An apology? A second chance? What I found was worse. I stood in the front hallway, looking at the photo wall. The same one that had been there since I was in high school. But something was missing. My graduation photo, the one in the gold frame, the one with the tassel hanging inside the glass, was gone. I blinked. "Mom," I called. She answered from the kitchen. I walked in. "Where's my graduation picture?" She didn't turn around. The frame cracked. I took it down. "Did you replace it?" No answer. I looked at the wall again. There were still pictures of Lily, at her yoga retreat, her 25th birthday, even one where she was holding a green smoothie in front of a waterfall. But nothing of me. "You erased me," I said softly. "Don't be dramatic," she muttered, pouring tea into her favorite mug. "The one I gave her 3 Mother's Days ago." Lily walked in from the living room, her phone in hand. She glanced at me, then back at the screen, typing furiously. I stepped closer. "Are you texting about me?" She didn't look up. "It's a family group. Nothing serious." I grabbed my coat and walked out. Outside, I sat in my car and recorded. She's deleting me in pieces. First the house. Then the pictures. Next, I guess I'll be just a rumor. Saved it. Ghost daughter. Back at home, I opened Instagram. Lily had posted a screenshot of the family group chat. Just my message. No context. Caption. "Some people can't handle your glow." That's when I knew they weren't just ignoring me. They were rewriting me. And I was done watching. The next day at school, I couldn't concentrate. The kids were wild after lunch, full of sugar and drama, fighting over glitter glue and who got to be line leader. Normally, I could redirect, manage, spin it all back into focus. But today, their little voices felt like sharp needles in my ears. Every laugh sounded like mockery. Every question like an attack. By 3:15, I was barely holding it together. "Emily," Zara said gently as I passed her office. "You free for 5 minutes?" I nodded. I was too tired to say no. We sat in her tiny office, surrounded by beanbags and laminated posters of rainbows and breathing techniques. It smelled like cinnamon tea and dry erase markers. "You look like you haven't slept in days," she said. "I haven't," I muttered. "Turns out being erased takes a toll." She tilted her head. "Talk to me." I did. I told her everything, from the moment Mom dropped the lake house bomb to Lily's smug Instagram post to the missing photo on the wall. Zara didn't interrupt. Just listened. Really listened. When I finished, she said, "You're not crazy." "I feel crazy." "You're not. You're grieving a betrayal. That's real. And by the way, recording everything? That's brilliant. You're building a narrative. You're making sure your voice isn't silenced." I blinked. I thought I was just spiraling. She smiled. "Maybe. But you're spiraling with evidence." I laughed, for real this time. Zara leaned forward. "Can I ask you something?" "Sure." "What did your dad want for that house? Like, when he was alive, did he talk about the future of it?" I paused. "Yeah," I said slowly. "He always said it should stay in the family. He used to joke about his grandkids fishing off the dock one day. He wanted us to share it. Equally." Zara raised her eyebrows. "Did he leave a will?" I don't know. Mom said everything was joint, that it all just passed to her." "Maybe," Zara said. "But maybe not." The next morning I took a personal day. Called in sick. I drove to the law office Dad had used, still listed in his old emails. The receptionist looked bored until I mentioned my dad's name. "Frank Carter," she said. "Hang on." 10 minutes later, she handed me a thin manila folder. Inside, a scanned copy of a handwritten note. Not a will, but close. "I want the lake property shared equally between Emily and Lily," it read. "No selling. No splitting. Just memories." Dated 2016. Signed. Witnessed. My hands shook. I took a picture. Emailed it to myself. Printed a copy at the FedEx across the street. That night, I recorded a memo. Dad left his wishes in writing. She ignored it. I have it now. I won't let this go. Saved it. Memory clause. The next day at school, I told Zara everything. She grinned. "Okay then. Now you've got leverage." That evening, I got a DM on Instagram from Lily's ex-boyfriend, Evan.
Hey, it read.
Saw the family drama. FYI, Lily's been planning to flip that lake house for months. She told me at dinner back in October. I asked him to send proof. An hour later, I had screenshots of texts, Lily bragging about redecorating just enough to up the resale value, then selling for 6 figures easy. I forwarded them to my Gmail, created a new folder, proof of intent. Then I hit record. She never wanted the house. She wanted the money. And Mom helped her do it. They lied to everyone. And now I have proof. Saved it. Retreat or flip. That night, I sat on my couch, the folder of files open on my laptop, the voice memos lined up like witnesses. I wasn't alone anymore. Zara had my back. Evan had receipts. Dad had written me into the future. They thought I'd go quietly. They forgot who raised me. By the time Sunday rolled around, I had a plan. Not a perfect one, not a polished, lawyer-approved, bulletproof plan, but something solid enough to feel real. For the first time in weeks, I didn't wake up with that lead-heavy knot in my chest. I made a spreadsheet. I know, it's not glamorous, but I'm a teacher. I live by columns and color coding. I needed order. I needed clarity. So I made tabs, emails, receipts, maintenance logs, texts, recordings. Each one timestamped, cross-referenced. I gave them names like paint expenses 2018 and dock repair June 2020. My favorite? Emotional labor unpaid. I laughed when I typed it, the bitter kind of laugh that feels like breathing after holding your anger underwater for too long. That afternoon, I lit a candle on my desk, vanilla and cedar, and pulled out something I hadn't touched in years. An old cassette tape recorder. It used to be Dad's. He'd let me play with it when I was little, recording my own fake radio shows. I used to think it made me powerful, capturing people's voices, their truths. The batteries were dead, but it still made a clicking sound when I hit record. I left it on the table beside my laptop as I worked. A relic. A reminder. Voice memos were my new weapon, but this dusty cassette player? That was my origin story. By Monday, I had a folder the size of a small novel. I labeled it proof of worth and backed it up in 3 places, cloud, USB, and a locked Google Drive. And then I did something even scarier. I wrote an email. To the family. Subject line, Lake House. Transparency request. It was short, polite, and ice cold. Dear family, I've recently come across documentation that contradicts the assumption that the lake house was left to one heir. For the sake of transparency and fairness, I'll be sharing some information with all of you soon. Best, Emily. No threats. No emotion. Just facts. 5 minutes later, Lily texted. What the hell are you doing? I didn't reply. 10 minutes after that, Mom called. I let it go to voicemail. Instead, I opened a new voice memo. They're rattled. Good. I don't need them to approve of my boundaries. I need them to respect them. Saved it. Boundary jar. Then, something unexpected happened. A call from my Aunt Helen, my dad's sister. We hadn't spoken in over a year. Emily, she said, her voice soft. I saw your email. Are you okay? No, I said honestly. But I'm getting there. She was quiet for a beat. Then, Frank always said you were the one who'd keep the family honest. I almost cried. I have something for you, she continued. An old letter. Your dad wrote it right before his surgery in 2016. He gave me a copy. Said if anything happened, he wanted you to have it. She emailed it to me that night. It wasn't legal language. Just a father writing down his hopes. I want the girls to share what I leave behind. Not just the house, but the weight, the legacy, the stories. If they can't do that, I failed somewhere. My hands shook as I read it. I printed it, scanned it, read it again. Then I recorded. Dad didn't fail. They did. But I'm not going to. I'm going to honor him, even if I have to fight my own mother to do it. Saved it. Legacy shared. That night, I sat on the couch, Jonah in my lap, the house quiet around me. For the first time, I wasn't angry. I wasn't hollow. I was ready. Tuesday morning, I woke up with a new kind of adrenaline in my veins, cleaner, sharper. Not panic. Purpose. I made an appointment with a notary. It was a small office tucked between a UPS store and a vape shop. The sign on the door was crooked, and the fluorescent lights buzzed overhead like angry bees. But the woman behind the counter was kind. Efficient. Deed transfer lookup? She asked, tapping her keyboard. Yes. Carter family, Lake property. It would have been filed last month. She scanned her screen. Clicked. Squinted. Yep. It's here. Transferred from Carol Carter to Lily Thompson, October 14th. The same week Mom had asked me to bring pie to Sunday dinner. I'd like a certified copy, I said. Sure thing. I paid the fee. Watched the printer spit out the paper. Thick legal stock, blue stamped in the corner. When she handed it to me, I felt like I was holding betrayal printed in black and white. Outside, the wind whipped through my jacket. I walked straight to my car and sat behind the wheel, breathing hard. I pulled out my phone and opened the voice memos app, official deed filed. No notification. No conversation. Just signed away while smiling in my face. I'm done pretending this isn't war. Saved it. Blue stamp lie. That afternoon, I met Zara at a Panera halfway between school and her house. We sat by the window with 2 cups of tea and a folder between us. She flipped through the papers, shaking her head. This isn't just shady. It's strategic. Your mom didn't just ignore you. She manipulated the timing, the language, everything. I nodded. She played me. Okay, Zara said, tapping her pen. So, what do you want? I didn't hesitate. I want them to admit it. I want the family to see it, and I want the legal right to challenge it if I have to. She smiled. Good. Then, let's build a timeline. We stayed for 2 hours. Laid it all out. Dad's handwritten wishes, the 2016 letter, the group texts about maintenance, the money I spent, the date of the deed, the party, the toast, Lily's public plans to flip it by the end. The folder looked like a lawsuit waiting to happen. That night, I called Aunt Helen. Would you speak up? I asked. If I brought this to the family? A pause. Yes, she said. Frank would have wanted me to. Then came the part one hadn't planned for. A message from Lily's ex, Evan. Evan, you should see this. He forwarded an email thread. From Lily to a realtor. Subject, Stillwater property. Listing timeline. Date, September 22nd. Weeks before she ever got the house. I stared at the screen. She was never going to keep it. She'd been flipping my inheritance before it was even hers. I recorded a memo, my voice calm but cold. She never cared about the house. Just the profit. And Mom helped her get it by lying, delaying, and erasing me. They weren't careless. They were calculated. Saved it. Pre-sale scam. Then I did the scariest thing yet. I emailed the family again. Subject line, correction. Dear all, I've attached documentation regarding the lake house transfer, along with communications that show Lily's intent to sell. I'm happy to walk through everything in person or via family call. Please know this isn't about spite. It's about truth. Emily, 2 minutes later, Mom called. I didn't answer. Instead, I played Dad's old cassette recorder. Popped in a blank tape. Hit record. I'm not fighting because I'm angry. I'm fighting because I remember who I am. And because he would have wanted me to. Click. The tape whirred quietly in the background. I stared out the window at the rain starting to fall, and for the first time in weeks, I smiled. They wanted silence. They were about to hear me loud and clear. Thursday morning, I got a call from a block number. I almost didn't pick up. Hello, I said, cautious. Emily Carter? A smooth voice asked. This is Daniel Ross. I'm a probate attorney. I was referred by Helen Carter. I sat up straighter. Yes. Hi. Your aunt said you might need some guidance. I can't represent you formally without a retainer, but I'm happy to give you a free consult. You have 10 minutes. I opened my laptop, clicked the folder labeled War Files, and said, I've got everything you need. We spoke fast. I told him about the deed transfer, the handwritten wishes, the real estate emails, the lack of notification. He whistled softly. This isn't airtight, but it's not nothing. If the property was inherited and your father expressed clear intent for equal division, even informally, you may have a claim, especially if you contributed to its maintenance. I did, I said. Years of it. Good. Then document every dollar, even gas mileage. Courts love receipts. I have them. He laughed. Of course you do. Before we hung up, he said, if they won't come to the table, you have a path forward. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. I thanked him, saved the number, created a new folder, legal backstop. That afternoon, I printed everything. Receipts, screenshots, emails, the handwritten letter from Dad, Evan's forwarded threads, all of it. I bought a binder, the big kind with dividers and pockets. On the front, I wrote in Sharpie. The truth, Emily Carter. I held it for a long second before sliding it into my work bag. The next day, I called for family meeting. Not a group chat. Not a dinner ambush. A formal request. Subject line. Family discussion. Lake House. I've reserved the small conference room at the Jefferson Community Center for Saturday at 2 p.m. I'd like an honest conversation. No surprises. Just truth. Please come if you want to hear my side. Emily. I didn't expect anyone to reply. But by Friday night, I got 3 confirmations. Aunt Helen, Uncle Rick, and, surprisingly, Lily. No response from Mom. Saturday came, gray and drizzly. I dressed simply, black sweater, dark jeans, no makeup. I wanted no distractions. Just facts. The community center smelled like pine cleaner and burnt coffee. The lights flickered slightly. The room had 6 chairs and a table stained with Sharpie graffiti. I placed my binder on the table. Set my phone beside it. Pressed record. The door opened. Aunt Helen came in first, hugging me tightly. Uncle Rick followed, looking uncomfortable. Lily arrived last, sunglasses on despite the indoor lighting, a designer tote slung over one shoulder. Wow, she said, eyeing the setup. Very courtroom chic. I ignored her. We sat. I opened the binder. Past copies of the deed, the email threads, the scanned letter from Dad. This is everything I have, I said calmly. I didn't come here to fight. I came here to clarify. Lily flipped through the pages. Where did you get this? From Dad. And from Evan. She froze. You spoke to Evan? He spoke to me. Uncle Rick cleared his throat. Emily, I didn't know any of this. I know, I said. None of you did. Because it wasn't an accident. It was a decision. And I've been on the outside of every one of them. Lily's voice was brittle. This doesn't change anything. It changes everything, Aunt Helen said. Frank wanted both girls to share that home. Lily stood up. He wanted a lot of things. Doesn't mean it's legal. I looked at her. Doesn't mean it's right either. The room went quiet. Then I slid the final page across the table, a timeline with bullet points, color-coded. Dad's wishes. My financial contributions. Lily's flip emails. The exact date of deed transfer. This isn't about who's more successful, I said. It's about who was cut out. Silently. Strategically. And illegally. Lily sat back down, hard. Uncle Rick looked away. Aunt Helen reached for my hand. We're not done here, I said. Not legally. Not emotionally. But I needed this on the record. I tapped my phone. Still recording. Lily scoffed. You're seriously recording this? Yes, I said. Because one of us should remember how this actually happened. Then I stood, took the binder, left the rest of the copies on the table. As I walked out into the rain, I felt no victory, no relief, just resolve, and a voice in my head that sounded a lot like Dad's. Keep the truth close, One day it'll matter. 2 days after the meeting, Mom showed up at my apartment, unannounced. It was just after 7 p.m., and I was sitting on the floor folding laundry when the knock came. Jonah hissed and darted under the bed. I opened the door to find her standing in the hallway, arms crossed, jacket still buttoned, eyes colder than I'd ever seen them. Can I come in? She asked, like it wasn't really a question. I stepped aside. She walked in like she owned the place, like she hadn't betrayed me, lied to the family, and then ghosted every message since Saturday. I waited. She looked around the room like she was seeing it for the first time, like she'd never bothered to know where I lived. The pile of grating on the table, the faint scent of soy candle, the chipped mug beside the sink. Then she turned to me. What exactly are you trying to prove? I folded a towel. That I existed. Don't be dramatic. I tossed the towel into the basket, a little harder than necessary. There it is. Your favorite word. Emily. No, I snapped. You don't get to come into my home and start scolding me like I'm 12. Her jaw clenched. You blindsided us. You blindsided me, I said. You signed over the lake house behind my back, made a toast about it, erased my photo from the wall, and then tried to act like I was the problem. I didn't erase you, she said. You did, I said quietly, piece by piece. And you know what's worse? You didn't even think I'd notice. She sat down, took off her gloves. Her hands were shaking. Lily needed the house more, she said. Stop saying that like it's a fact, I said. She wanted it. For a brand. For a profit. I lived in that house. I repaired it. I loved it. She's not strong like you, Mom said suddenly. She couldn't handle the rejection. I stared at her. That's why you chose her? I asked. Because I'd survive it better? She didn't answer. That's not love, I said. That's convenience. She looked away. I sat across from her. For once, I let the silence stretch. Then I said, you taught me to tell the truth. Remember? You said we don't lie in this family, even if it hurts. I didn't think it would come to this, she said bitterly. Emails? Lawyers? Public shaming? I asked for a conversation, I said. You gave me silence. I asked for honesty. You gave me ceremony. I asked for fairness. You gave me a sister with a realtor. Her eyes flashed. She wasn't going to sell it. I have the emails. She blinked. You know what's wild? I said. You could have told me, and I might have understood. I might have been hurt, but I would have heard you. But you didn't give me that chance. Her voice cracked. I thought if we kept it quiet, it wouldn't tear us apart. It didn't, I said. The lies did. I stood, walked to the kitchen, poured water. My hand shook, but I didn't hide it. You always said I was the responsible one, I said. The one who kept everything together. You are, she whispered. Then why didn't you trust me? Silence. Because, she finally said, I didn't want you to stop loving me. My throat caught. I set the glass down, slower now. I don't hate you, I said. But I can't protect you from the truth anymore. And I won't protect myself by pretending it doesn't matter. She looked old in that moment. Smaller. I'll talk to Lily, she said. We'll figure something out. No, I said. You won't. She looked up, startled. This isn't yours to fix anymore. It's mine. Then I walked to the side table, picked up the cassette recorder, hit play. It was Dad's voice, faint, warm, worn with age. Whoever ends up with the lake house, take care of it. Take care of each other. Mom closed her eyes. I hit stop. You forgot the second part, I said. And I let her sit there with it. No more begging. No more explaining. Just the truth. Sitting in the air between us. Heavy. Unavoidable. The twist didn't come with fireworks. It came in a plain manila envelope. Wednesday afternoon, I stopped by Aunt Helen's house to drop off a copy of the binder. She was in the kitchen, slicing apples for pie, wearing the same apron she used to bake with Dad on Sundays. The house smelled like cinnamon and old wood. I've got something for you, she said, nodding toward the table. The envelope was thick, sealed with tape, my name written on the front in Dad's blocky handwriting. I sat, slid my finger under the flap. Inside, a notarized document, dated April 2016. It was real, a codicil to my dad's will, one the rest of us never saw. In the event of my passing, the lake property shall be co-owned by both daughters, Emily Carter and Lily Carter. Any sale, transfer, or modification shall require written consent from both parties.
Signed. Witnessed.
Stamped. I felt dizzy. Where? How? Your dad gave it to me before his last surgery, Aunt Helen said gently. Said to hold on to it in case your mom ever forgot. I stared at the page. My chest was tight with something I didn't yet have words for. Not anger. Not sadness. Validation. I wasn't crazy. They had violated a legal document. I recorded a memo in the car before I even buckled my seatbelt. Co-ownership clause. Legal. Notarized. Hidden. They acted like I was overreacting, but they knew. Or she knew. And she signed it away anyway. Saved it. Clause unbroken. I drove straight to the courthouse. Paid for a certified copy of the deed transfer again. Stamped. October 14th, 2024. Then I filed a formal challenge. The clerk was disinterested. Her nails were bright red, and she chewed gum loudly, as I explained. But it didn't matter. It was done. I was officially disputing the transfer of property based on fraudulent omission of legal co-ownership. The next morning, Lily showed up at my school. She was standing in the parking lot by my car, oversized sunglasses, and that same smug tote bag on her shoulder. You filed, she said, voice like venom. Yes. You really want to drag the family through this? I didn't start this, I said. I just stopped letting it happen. She scoffed. You're so bitter. No, I said, stepping closer. I'm clear. You'll lose. I smiled. Then why are you here? That hit her. She blinked, faltered. I kept going. You knew. You knew about the clause. You just didn't care. You thought if you moved fast enough, if you got the listing up before anyone noticed, you could cash out and disappear. She flinched. I was going to share it. After you pocketed 6 figures? Generous. I needed the money, she said, suddenly desperate. I'm behind on everything. Credit cards, rent. Mom said the house would help reset everything. There it was. The truth. Not a wellness retreat. Not a legacy project. A bailout. You could have asked, I said quietly. You could have come to me. I would have helped. Not with money, but with honesty. She looked away. You're always so righteous. No, I said. I'm just tired of pretending you're the victim. She opened her mouth, then closed it. I'm done playing the extra in your origin story, I said. This time, I get to tell the truth. Then I got in my car. She didn't move. That night, I opened my binder, added the codicil to the front pocket, reorganized the tabs, labeled 1, confirmed lies. Then I sat in the quiet, listening to an old voice memo, one of the first. They gave her the lake house. I'm not sure what hurts more, losing the house or realizing I don't matter. I hit stop. That version of me didn't know what was coming. But this one? She knew exactly what she was worth. The mediation was set for Friday at 10 a.m. It wasn't a courtroom, just a quiet room in a neutral law office downtown, one of those modern places with exposed brick, uncomfortable Scandinavian chairs, and free cucumber water that somehow tasted judgmental. I arrived early. Wore black slacks, a navy blouse, and Dad's old watch. Not because it matched, but because it made me feel anchored. My binder was in my bach. My voice memos backed up twice. My hands? Ice cold. 10 minutes before start time, Lily walked in wearing a cream blazer, holding a metallic water bottle like it was a trophy. Her expression was unreadable behind thick lashes and a forced smile.
Hi, she Saij.
I didn't answer. Mom came in last. No makeup. No jewelry. She looked smaller than I remembered. Her cardigan sleeves were pulled over her hands like she was trying to disappear into herself. The mediator, a soft-spoken woman in her 50s named Karen something, welcomed us. We're here today in the spirit of resolution, she began. No accusations, just clarity. Let's give each other space to speak. I nodded. Lily crossed her legs. Mom said nothing. I opened my binder and slid a copy of the codicil across the table. Before we talk feelings, I said, we talk facts. Karen read it. raised her eyebrows. This appears legally binding, she said, and predates the deed transfer by several years. Lily bristled. But Mom had full ownership when Dad passed. Karen looked at her calmly. That may be, but this codicil was notarized. If it had been presented during probate, it could have altered distribution. Emily's filing is valid. Silence. Then Mom spoke. I didn't remember it. I turned to her. You didn't want to remember it. Her voice trembled. I thought it was a note. Not legal. It had a notary stamp. I was grieving. So was I said. But I didn't use grief as a weapon. Karen held up her hands. Let's focus on resolution. Emily, what are you asking for? I took a breath. I want the deed reversed and co-ownership restored. I want a written agreement that the property can't be sold without joint consent. And I want a written acknowledgement that the original decision was made unilaterally and unfairly. Lily scoffed. That's a lot of demands for someone who didn't even want the house. I never said I didn't want it, I said, turning to her. You assumed that because I didn't perform nostalgia like a brand. Because I wasn't filming yoga sessions on the dock. But I was there. I built that fire pit. I patched the drywall. I fixed the gutters after the storm. Karen looked at Lily. Would you be willing to share ownership? Lily didn't answer. I reached into my bag, pulled out the recorder, hit play. It was Mom's voice, clear and tired, from our conversation in my apartment. She's not strong like you. I thought if we kept it quiet, it wouldn't tear us apart. Then my voice. It didn't. The lies did. I stopped the recording. Karen looked at them both. That's powerful. Lily finally spoke. Quietly. I don't want to fight anymore. Then don't, I said. Let's fix it. Karen nodded. We can draw up a co-ownership agreement today. Retroactive. And Emily's filing will be withdrawn once finalized. Lily glanced at Mom. Mom nodded slowly. I'll sign, she whispered. It's time. We moved to the final formality. Initials, signature lines, a printout of the co-ownership terms. Lily signed first. Then me. Mom last. Karen notarized it. As she stamped the last page, I felt something shift. Not forgiveness, not joy, but closure. And for the first time in months, I exhaled without guilt. Outside, the sky was breaking open. Sunlight cracking through gray clouds. Lily walked ahead, not looking back. Mom lingered. She turned to me. Are we okay? I stared at her. Thought about all the versions of me she never saw. I don't know, I said honestly. But we're not broken the same way anymore. She nodded. Got in her car. I stood in the parking lot, the co-ownership agreement in my hand, and let the sunlight hit my face. I wasn't healed, but I was whole. 2 weeks later, we returned to the lake house. Not for a retreat. Not for a celebration. For a reckoning. The co-ownership agreement had been filed. The lawsuit withdrawn. Legally, the storm was over. But emotionally, no one had rebuilt anything. Lily suggested we go up together, walk the property, energetically reset the space. I agreed. Not for energy. For truth. We drove in silence. Her white Tesla. My 15-year-old Corolla. We didn't speak at the rest stop. Didn't wave at the gas station. We were two people carrying the same nameplate on a mailbox neither of us felt fully welcome at anymore. The house looked the same, but different. The porch had been painted beige. The wind chimes were gone. The old welcome mat that read Carter Cabin had been replaced with one that said Stillwater starts here. I stared at it, then stepped over it. Inside, the air smelled like lavender oil and varnish. The furniture had changed, modern, minimalist, Instagram-friendly. But the bones were still there. The creaky stair. The uneven floorboard by the fireplace. The scuff on the hallway wall where I once dropped Dad's tackle box. Lily hovered by the kitchen. I thought you'd hate it, she said, watching me. I don't, I replied, running my fingers along the countertop. But I miss what it used to be. She leaned on the island. I didn't mean to hurt you. I looked at her. Yes, you did, I said softly. You just didn't think I'd push back. Her mouth tightened. I walked to the living room. pulled my bag from the floor, unzipped it. Out came the cassette recorder. Lily blinked. You brought that. I nodded. Set it on the coffee table. Do you even remember this? I asked. Dad used to record stories on it. And I would play them back and laugh at his funny voices. She didn't answer. I hit play. The tape clicked, then hissed, and then Dad's voice. If you're hearing this, I guess I'm not around. Just wanted to say, don't sell the lake house. And for God's sake, don't fight over it. It's not about the wood or the roof. It's about you two. Don't forget each other. The room went still. Lily sat down slowly. I turned to her. This was never about property. It was about erasure. About being treated like a footnote in my own family. She looked up. You're not a footnote. No, I said. But you wanted me to be.
She didn't argue.
I don't want your apology, I continued. I want your respect. Your recognition. From now on, any decisions about this place, we make them together. She nodded. And the name goes back, I added, pointing at the doormat. It stays the Carter cabin. She didn't flinch. Okay. Outside, the sky was pale blue, the lake glassy and still. I walked down to the dock alone. The boards creaked beneath my boots. I stood where Dad used to fish, where Lily and I once did cannonballs, where we all clung to each other in summers that felt endless. I closed my eyes, took a deep breath, then opened the recorder again. Hit record. My name is Emily Carter. This is my father's lake house. And I am no longer invisible.
Click.
Saved it. Center stage. Behind me, Lily stood on the porch, watching. We weren't healed, but we weren't hiding anymore. This place belonged to both of us. And I would never, ever let them forget that again. The fallout didn't happen all at once. It happened in fragments. The lake house didn't magically become a sanctuary again. It remained what it was. Ours, but fractured. Shared, but still echoing with things we hadn't said. After that day on the dock, Lily and I didn't talk for a while. We didn't fight either. We just paused. Paused the branding. Paused the renovations. Paused the pretending. Mom sent me an email a week later. No subject line. Just 2 sentences. I've put together a box of your things. Let me know when you want to pick it up. I hope one day we can talk. I didn't respond. Not yet. Instead, I packed my own box.
Books.
Mementos. The cassette recorder. The framed copy of Dad's co-ownership clause. A jar of beach stones from the cabin's shore. I didn't cry. Not when I slid my high school photo back into a new frame. Not when I wrapped the chipped, world's best daughter, mug in bubble wrap. I was done crying. But I was still tired. Tired of being the strong one. The silent one. The one who absorbed. So I took a break. I filed for a 6-week leave from school under emotional recovery. Zara signed off on it without hesitation. You did the hard part, she said. Now rest. So I drove. Packed Jonah in the passenger seat and headed south down the coast, stopping in small towns I'd never bothered to notice before. I stayed in motels that smelled like pine cleaner and had loud mini fridges. I ate greasy diner food. I walked barefoot on empty beaches with wind in my hair and no one asking me to explain anything. One night, I parked by the ocean, windows down, the sky bruised with sunset. I opened the recorder one more time. This silence is mine. Not forced. Not angry. Just earned.
Click.
Saved it. Peace bought. When I returned to Portland, the apartment felt smaller. But in a way that didn't scare me. Zara met me for coffee at the place near school. We talked about nothing, reality TV, holiday plans, the way the espresso machine always made a sound like it was dying. You okay? She asked. Not okay, I said. But lighter. She smiled. That counts. Later that week, I visited the lake house again. Alone. No big announcement. I just drove up, unlocked the door, and walked inside. It was quiet. The scent of cedar was back. The lavender diffuser's gone. In the living room, on the coffee table, was a folded note. Emily, I moved the yoga stuff to the shed. The nameplate's back on the porch.
See you next time.
Al, that was it. Not a grand apology, but maybe something better. I stepped onto the porch. There it was again. Carter cabin, burned into the wood. Faded. Familiar. I sat in Dad's old chair and looked out at the lake.
Still. Cold.
Beautiful. The dock creaked in the breeze. Inside, the air smelled like home. Not perfect, but honest. I made a sandwich in the kitchen. Ate it standing at the counter, like I used to after swimming. I lit a fire. Watched it catch. For the first time in months, I didn't feel like I had to prove anything. Not to Lily. Not to Mom. Not to the family threads that still left me on read. I was here. I had a key. And I had kept the truth alive. That would always be enough. The truth didn't come in an explosion. It came in an envelope. Mom mailed it. Yes, mailed. A thick ivory envelope with my name written in her cursive I hadn't seen since she signed field trip slips in elementary school. Inside, a letter. 7 handwritten pages. She had never been good with technology. Texts were curt. Emails worse. But this letter, this felt different. The ink was smudged in places. A coffee ring stained the corner. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. Emily, I've been sitting with my silence. And I think I've confused it for peace. I was wrong. Not just about the house. About so much more. You were always the one who didn't need. At least, that's what I told myself. You were smart, capable, self-contained. Lily was fragile, emotional, and loud about it. I thought I had to prop her up. I thought you didn't need anything from me. But now I see that I mistook your strength for invincibility. And that was never fair. I had to pause reading. My throat was tight. My fingers trembled slightly as I flipped to the next page. I don't know why I erased your photo. Maybe it was guilt. Maybe it was shame. But I see now how loud silence can be. You fought for your place in this family, and I should have given it to you without asking. Frank would be furious with me. He'd have your back. And so will I. From now on, no more secrets. No more Lily needs it more. No more justifying what I know deep down was favoritism.
I'm sorry.
Not just for the house. For making you doubt you ever belonged. I finished reading on the floor, next to my kitchen table, with Jonah curled at my feet and the recorder beside me like a silent witness. I didn't cry. Not exactly. But I felt something thaw. And for the first time in a long time, it didn't hurt to feel. I picked up the recorder. Pressed record. She remembered. Not everything, but enough.
Click.
Saved it. The letter. That weekend, I went back to the lake house alone. Lily wasn't there. Mom wasn't either. Just me, the cabin, and late autumn light pouring through the dusty windows. I stood in the middle of the living room holding Dad's letter in one hand, Mom's in the other. Then, I did something I hadn't done since I was a teenager. I sat down at the old desk in the guest room, pulled open the drawer, and found the yellow legal pad Dad used to scribble fishing notes on. And I wrote.
Not to them.
To myself. A new letter. You belonged here. You still do. You never needed to fight to be remembered. They just forgot how to see clearly. But your vision? It never failed. I folded it, slipped it into the same drawer. A seed for the next version of me. Maybe years from now, I'd find it again and smile. Maybe I'd be with someone who'd sit on this porch with me and know the weight of this place. Maybe not. But it was mine again. The story.
The home.
The voice. I walked outside as dusk settled over the water. The dock was wet with mist. The sky painted in oranges and navy blue. I sat, closed my eyes, listened to the wind, the rustle of pine, the creak of the old dock. Then I said the words I'd been waiting months to believe. This is mine. Not because they gave it, but because I took it back. Spring came slowly. Not all at once like a movie montage, but in pieces. Warmer mornings. Softer rain. Daffodils poking through sidewalk cracks on my street in Portland. I didn't move back to the lake house. But I didn't stay away either. It became what it was always meant to be, shared. Lily and I took turns on weekends. No more branding. No more flipping. Just quiet use. Real use. She planted herbs in the kitchen windowsill. I restocked the bookshelves with Dad's favorites, weathered paperbacks, and a few old fishing magazines. We didn't talk much, but when we did, it was easier. She sent me a photo once, her sitting by the fire with tea and our old golden retriever, Max, curled at her feet. No caption. She didn't need one. Mom started writing again. Not long letters, but notes. Postcards from her weekly farmers market trips. A photo of her holding up my graduation picture, reframed and hung again. This time, centered on the wall. One card said simply, "The photo never broke."
I did.
Thank you for waiting while I put the pieces back. I taped it to my fridge. Zara and I met every other week. Not as counselor and teacher, just friends. Women who'd walked through fire and lived to make tea on the other side. I invited her to the cabin in April. She brought a bottle of wine and 3 kinds of cheese I couldn't pronounce. "You did it," she said, as we watched the lake ripple under moonlight. "You wrote your story." I nodded. And this time, they didn't edit it. That night, after she left, I sat alone on the dock with the recorder in my lap. The same old cassette recorder from all those months ago. Its surface scratched, its buttons stiff. But still working. I hit play. Dad's voice came through warm, steady, full of that half-laugh he always tucked into serious words. "Don't fight over this place. Share it. Grow in it. And if it ever starts to break you, step away. Come back when you remember why it mattered." I smiled. Let it run until the tape clicked at the end. Then I opened a new cassette.
Hit record.
My name is Emily Carter. This was never about a house. It was about memory.
About voice.
About refusing to disappear quietly just because people are comfortable forgetting.
Click.
I labeled the new tape with a Sharpie. My voice back in Portland. I bought a new shelf for my apartment. On it, Dad's watch, the first printed voice memo transcript, a photo of me and Lily as kids, both soaked from the lake, the cassette recorder, a boundary, a memorial, a monument.
Not to pain,
but to return. A reminder that even when they rewrite the script, you can still reclaim the pen. Here's what I learned. You don't need to scream to be heard. You don't need to win to be whole. You just need to hold your ground.
Keep your receipts.
And when the time comes, press record. Because your story, it matters. Even if they forget. Even if they laugh. Even if they hand the house keys to someone else. You take them back. And when you do, you don't apologize. You walk in the front door. You hang your photo on the wall. You light the fire.
You stay.
Because you were always part of this family. And now they finally know it too.